Hello and welcome to another edition of Maury County Now. Maury County Now is a community news show covering the events, ideas, groups, and happenings in and around Maury County. When a disaster strikes, the Office of Emergency Management is a coordinating agency for all emergency personnel. We spoke with Director Mark Blackwood about the agency and the Maury Hazardous Operations team.
I'm Mark Blackwood. I'm the Director of Emergency Management for Maury County, Tennessee. I'm also the Chief of our Maury Hazardous Operations team, which is responsible for all special ops within the county. The Office of Emergency Management is responsible for all the planning, coordination, ensuring that all agencies work together and are efficient to be able to handle non-routine events, major incidents, and disasters. The Maury Hazardous Operations team is made up of about 14 specialized teams, partnership with all the emergency agencies within the county to go to those non-routine calls that take highly specialized equipment and training to be able to accomplish them safely and efficiently. We have, of course, hazardous materials response team, a hazardous devices or bomb squad, our rope team, water teams, all the things that are highly technical, highly specialized. They don't occur that often, but when they do, they are extreme risk to our personnel and also to the citizens of Maury County. Columbia and Maury County are not immune from the dangers associated with the production of meth. We, like everyone else, are seeing an increase in that. We recently had one in the city of Columbia at a local hotel. That is a common place that is done. There are also some other things, some other areas such as storage lockers, those type things, storage buildings where people do the illegal manufacture of meth. Discuss some of the signs of a potential meth lab. Occupants display a very paranoid or odd behavior can be a sign. Some other signs are chemical odors coming from the house, their garbage, or any of the attached buildings, storage buildings, or those things. Garbage contains numerous bottles, containers, and materials such as drain cleaner, solvents, a lot of batteries, old batteries, coffee filters, bed sheets, or other materials that could be stained, look like they were used. And then any type of evidence of chemical waste dumping on the grass, anywhere where you might find it looks like the grass has been killed in a spot could be an indication where they had been pouring some of their byproducts. Some very basic or simple tips for some property managers that they can do to help minimize the chance for a meth lab to be done on their property is simply for the landlord to try to screen any tenants that are going to be renting the property. Just try to know who they're renting to, make sure that they check them out, try to check some history on them, and get references, check those out. Some things for motel managers or operators. They need to educate their front desk employees to make sure that they're alert for any of the signs, to make sure that folks that are paying with just cash and have no identification or refuse to show it are all indications, as well as if they go in with no luggage but they're carrying in boxes or looks like bags of materials or different chemicals. Those are all signs it could be. Also, they need to train their housekeeping staff to be ensure that their housekeeping staff is very aware of what the signs are of a meth lab. And that's, of course, again, any type of chemical odors, strange things, any type of solvents, packages, bottles, tubing, a lot of those things could be an indication that someone could be illegally manufacturing meth. Of course, if anyone has any questions or suspicions and thinks that they may have a meth lab in their property, they need to call 911 or they can call the Maury County Office of Emergency Management. We'll try to go through some of the signs with them, and then in fact, if we think they have a meth lab, we can help them to notify the proper authorities.
Everyone in Columbia knows where Carmack Boulevard is, but do you know who it is named after? Here's Adam Southern with the word on the street for this edition of Historic Maury County.
Hi, I'm Adam Southern, and this is another exciting edition of Historic Maury County. And today we're going to talk about a guy that many people don't really know of anymore, but you drive on his road every day, Carmack Boulevard. And Carmack Boulevard was named after Senator Edward Ward Carmack, and he's a very interesting guy. One of my favorite characters from Maury County history because he was so unique and eccentric. Carmack was born just before the Civil War in 1858, and his father died at a relatively young age, leaving Carmack's mother to care for the children. So looking for work, she came to Culleoka, and there was a man named Sawney Webb who just started Webb School at Culleoka. So she found some work there, and Edward Ward Carmack got to go to Webb School as part of her pay. He got a free education. After leaving Culleoka, he came to Columbia and he got a job working at the newspaper, and he studied law, became a lawyer. And he always had those two passions in life, law and newspaper. And he would go on to Memphis, Tennessee, where he would work in a newspaper there as an editor. And he ended up getting elected to the U.S. House of Representatives representing Tennessee. He later, after serving in the House of Representatives, went on to be elected as a U.S. Senator. And it wasn't public elections back then for U.S. Senator. U.S. Senators were elected by the Tennessee House of Representatives and the Senate. And they elected him to one term. And when it came up for re-election, they didn't appoint him. So he came back to Tennessee kind of disgruntled. And he was picking for a fight. His new thing was prohibition. And he was wanting to make Tennessee dry. And of course, Tennessee's got Motlow, it's got Jack Daniels, all that whiskey. They didn't want to be dry. But Carmack wanted Tennessee to be dry, so he ran for governor of Tennessee on the dry ticket. And he lost. So he went back to the newspaper, his second passion. And he started gunning down all of these people that didn't vote against him or who were against him, political rivals. And one person he wrote about all the time in his editorials was Duncan Cooper. And he just made fun of Duncan Cooper on a daily basis in the paper. And it was so bad that if Duncan Cooper walked down the street, people would stop and laugh at him. And he finally sent Carmack word, "You write about me again, I'm going to kill you." Well, that was the wrong thing to tell Carmack, so he went back and wrote about him again. And as the story goes, in November 1908, Carmack was walking down the streets of Nashville, and he stops to tip his hat to a lady, and here comes Duncan Cooper along with his son Robin. And when Carmack sees the two of them, he goes for his pistol, but Robin Cooper was faster, and he shot Carmack down on the streets of Nashville. They bring him back to Columbia. They have his funeral at Rose Hill Cemetery. And there was such a public outcry about Carmack's funeral, about Carmack's death, that Tennessee went dry. He was the martyr for this prohibition cause. One death was enough to sway several thousands of people in Tennessee to make the state dry. And later we see that sweep the nation. And he is at Rose Hill Cemetery across from the Confederate section. And from his grave you can see the Maury County Courthouse. And as I said, Carmack Boulevard is named in his honor. And Oaks and Nichols Funeral Home in Columbia, Tennessee, that was his home in Columbia. So you can still see several reminders of Edward Ward Carmack in Columbia, even though we might not really remember who he is. And on the state grounds by the Capitol building, they have a statue of Edward Ward Carmack. And it's interesting to note that Carmack was this big prohibitionist, but directly underneath Carmack is the Motlow Tunnel. And the story is that since they couldn't get whiskey past him, they put it underneath him. So this has been our trip through the history of Maury County, including the history of Edward Ward Carmack. I hope you've enjoyed it. And come see us at the library if you want to read more about Edward Ward Carmack, and check out my book and buy a copy, Maury County, A History and Vintage Postcards, available at the library or online at Amazon.com. Thank you.
Have you ever wanted to help a lost child find a way home? We spoke with Jenny Smith of Youth Villages in Columbia about what you can do to help children in need by becoming a foster parent.
I'm Jenny Smith. I am with Youth Villages. We are an organization that works with children and families live successfully, and we work with children and families to overcome any issues they may have had in the past or stabilize families. And then we have all kinds of programs that work with different types of children and families. I'll give you some statistics about foster care because I think a lot of times people, they hear about foster care and they don't realize what a big issue it is. And in Middle Tennessee, we have an urgent need for foster parents. Right now in the state of Tennessee, there's over 8,000 children in foster care. Nationwide, at the end of 2011, there were 400,000 children in foster care. Out of those 400,000 children, 100,000 of those were eligible for adoption. So they were children that were awaiting adoption. Right now in Middle Tennessee, we have 133 homes. In those 133 homes, we have 144 children. There are definitely more children that are waiting homes. So the more homes that we can get foster homes, the more children we're able to help. An average stay for a foster child is 18 months. So a lot of time when people hear about foster care, they think a child's going to come in the middle of the night, they're only going to be there for a little while, but that's really not the case. The children come between 8 to 5 business hours most of the time, and they're there for quite a while. We like the children when they're placed in a home to stay in that home until they reach permanency. And one thing that we try to do is get the children back with their birth parents, but if that can't necessarily happen, then we have adoption program. And the foster parents get first choice at adopting the child that's in their home. And it is a free adoption. We provide everything that they need for that and all the cost. If anybody's interested in looking at the children that are eligible for adoption, we do have some on our website, youthvillages.org. But we do have a lot that the parental rights haven't been terminated yet that are awaiting adoption that need homes. And so they may not be on the website, but the adoption process, they have to be in the home, the foster home, for at least 6 months. And then after that, the process can kind of get started. Usually it takes about another 6 months to get it finalized, maybe a little longer. But it is definitely a good program. I get a lot of calls about people that are interested in adoption, and they say, you know, what type of children do you have? Well, we really have any type of children, any ages, but typically we do see more teenagers just because of the children getting vocal about maybe what they've been through, or somebody noticing abuse or neglect. But our foster parents really serve as a place for the children to grow and to be stable and to overcome whatever issues that they've been through. You know, a lot of these children may have come from homes where they don't get everyday experiences like we would get. They don't get to go to restaurants with tablecloths. They don't get to go to the park. They haven't had pineapple. You know, simple things that we take for granted. And so our families really give these children the world and give them a chance to grow and learn and overcome whatever that they've been through. Well, if you're interested in becoming a foster parent, we always have classes starting. We're always rotating, so it's always a great time to call. You can reach me at 931-560-4250. We also have our 1-800 number here that will direct you straight to me. Our website has some information on there as well. It has some of the adoption profiles as well, and that is www.youthvillages.org.
The annual mock trial competition is dropping the gavel for students' preparation for courtroom readiness. Here's Cara Lynn to throw the book at us about what these future lawyers can expect.
Hi, my name is Cara Lynn. I am the chairman of the mock trial for the Young Lawyers Division of the Maury County Bar Association. Today is the district regional mock trial competitions. We're for District 3 and we do it yearly. It's for all the schools in 8 different counties. Essentially what happens is all of the kids from these schools all year long have been preparing a trial. They have a prosecution and a defense, and this year it's a murder case. And they prepare just like regular lawyers would prepare in a case. They have witnesses, they cross-examine them, and they prepare all year for it, and then they come today and they play each other in the schools, and whoever wins today will go on to the state championships. We have local lawyers that volunteer to score each team. So they're sitting in there and they listen to the entire trial, and they judge based on things like how well they do on an opening, how well they do in objections, how well they do in legal arguments, and they determine who is going to win based on a point system, and the person with the team with the highest points and the most ballots wins. I think this helps prospective lawyers in the sense that it gives them an idea of what we do on a daily basis as attorneys. It gives them practice at it, it gives them real world experience in it, and it also gives them an opportunity to interact with other attorneys and judges today. And we usually try to set up an attorney to come to the school and help throughout the year, practice and get prepared for this, and so they have a better idea of exactly what to expect. And so they get to talk to us and find out what we do on a daily basis.
Well, I think it gives them a better understanding of what goes on in the courtroom. It's a very stressful place to be, and there's a lot of people that can't handle it, but there's nothing wrong with that. But I think it gives them an idea about what goes on in there, how important it is that you prepare for an appearance in there, regardless of what your role might be. So I think it's great for them to do this, whether they ever become an attorney or not.
I'm Lee Sands, and I'm with the Columbia Central High School mock trial team. We get a problem in like mid-November, and then we start studying it, signing the roles, deciding how we want to go with the case, and then we begin practicing it live, sort of like we do in the actual competition. It's a fun thing to do, but I think it also helps you like academically, looks good on college resumes, and it's fun most importantly.
If you win, you receive bragging rights against all the other schools. You receive a giant gavel. It's made out of wood. It goes from school to school every year. Whoever wins keeps it for the year. And we also award winners for the 3 best attorneys and the 3 best witnesses. Whoever's playing witnesses, whoever knows their part the best, and the 3 best attorneys, whoever does the best job cross-examining and questioning and answering and making objections.
Finally, Maury County Now's very own Quan McFall was in attendance volunteering at McDowell Elementary, inspiring the kids for Dr. Seuss's birthday. Thank you for watching Maury County Now, and we'll see you next time.